Welcome to the Medium in the Middle podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie, the Medium in the Middle. On this podcast, I share my journey as a developing psychic medium, as a Reiki master teacher, as an Akashic record practitioner, and anything else that's thrown my way. Hello, middlers. Welcome to episode 171. My name is Stephanie. I am the medium in the middle. Welcome back if you are a middler. Welcome if you are a new listener. I tell my entire story from episode 1. At this point, I just highly recommend the first 10 episodes. They're kind of the wild and crazy stories when I first realized I could speak to spirit. And the rest of the episodes recap the past few years of my life. So if you want to follow along the whole journey, by all means, but I would say the first 10 episodes are usually very relatable if you are a new medium, if you are opening up in your mediumship, you've started your spiritual development journey and you're feeling a little lost and you're feeling a little alone. Episodes 1 through 10 will really help you out. Today, I have a mediumship story for all of you. There's been a theme the last few weeks, and I was debating on whether or not I was going to tell this story now, if I should wait, but keeping you up to date in real time, what's going on with me and with mediumship. So I had to share the story, but we're going to start off first with this week's card pull. It is from Colette Baron Reid, Enchanted Map. I pulled the card 26, Deep Freeze. Everything has its season. Now is the time to put activity on hold while you rest. The cold winter beckons you to slow down and put a freeze on things that are not yet ready to bloom. It's time for regeneration and hibernation. Forgo our ambitious activity. A pregnant pause allows ideas to gestate, projects to shift and change, and relationships to go through a dreamy state of being, not going anywhere, not needing to. This is also a time to put all your arguments on ice. Nothing beneficial will come from any of them. Self-care is the most important activity now. So reflect, read a good book, or get a massage. Rest and dream. Ooh, interesting. I'm just going to read the reverse as well. Nothing you can do right now will amount to anything substantial, no matter how much you try, push, or manipulate. Life wants you to take a break. You need to do this now, lest you become exhausted and be forced to rest. Listen to your bodies. What you need will be there for you when you emerge in the springtime. For now, winter has its own ideas for you. Wait for the signs of spring. Ooh, a reminder to rest this week. Jumping into announcements, I have 2 quick ones for you. My next Reiki Level 1 is July 8th and 9th. You guys have heard me talk about these a million times. If you want to learn Reiki, I host this every month. And they sell out so quickly because I only take 11 students for level 1 and 8 students for level 2. So the courses are kept very intimate. I have very meticulously planned them so everyone has enough chance to participate and talk and get their questions asked, and we can have conversations within the time frame. So that is why the courses are constantly selling out. July is already half sold out. So if that is calling your name, if you feel like it is your time, that is a great option for you. The next very exciting thing is I'm doing a live workshop on June 4th, and I am bringing to you Reiki and Chakras 101, and it is from 12 p.m. to 1:15 Mountain Standard Time. This is taken directly from my Reiki Level 1 course. It's called Power Hour in the course, but it's a good introduction to Reiki and your own energy if you're like, you know what, a course isn't for me, but I do still want to learn about my energy. I want to understand what my body's telling me. I want to understand how energy sits in my body. We will learn a little bit of Reiki and hand positions as well. So it's a really, really good introduction if you're not quite ready for the full-on Reiki course, or if you're just like, I just want to learn more about myself and my energy. This course is for you. Everyone who signs up also gets the replay, so if you can't make it live, it will be in your inbox on that day in the afternoon. But I will leave all the links for that down below in the show notes. Oh, and sorry, I do have one other announcement. There will be no podcast episode next week. So on May 17th, there will be no podcast episode. I am going away on vacation, and I might actually have a real no work vacation this time because I'm going to Las Vegas. So there will be no episode next week, but I will be back on May 24th with a new episode. But let's jump right in to this week's story. This is actually a fresh story. It just happened within the last 7 days, within the last week. And I have this one beautiful person who comes and sees me for Distance Reiki monthly. She is actually amazing. She books her sessions in advance for months at a time. And she's been a past Reiki student. She's currently a mentee. So I have a fairly good relationship with this person. We've had a relationship for a few years now, and I've gotten to know her over the years. So I know that her mother has passed. We did a mediumship thing together before, and I follow her on Instagram, so I've seen it on her Instagram. And although we never have actually talked about it, I did know this fact. And whenever I've done Reiki on her, it's always just been Reiki. Like I don't even think I've ever done like any intuitive messages for her or anything like that. So I was a regular Sunday. I was seeing her for her regular, you know the drill. I know the drill. Let's jump right into it. And instantly I felt her mother so strongly. And I was like, this is weird. I've done Reiki on her so many times, and I have never felt her mother. And then I started to think, and I was like, I know her mother is passed. And I was like, but I don't know anything about her. And I was like, I don't think I've ever channeled her or anything like that. I'm like, we haven't really talked about it. So we're starting the Reiki, and, we do this often. So she knows the drill. I know the drill. We're jumping right into it. We waste no time. And I just can't get the feeling of her mother to stop. And I said, I have to say something. I can say something to her. So I said, hey, this has never happened before, but your mom feels so close. I was like, your mom's passed, right? Like, I know this, half know this. I just wanted to confirm this. She was like, oh, yeah. And then she said, I'm open for messages. Like, she's like, I know I don't have to say that, but if she's there. And I was like, oh, like, I know she's also a medium. So I was like, I know you can feel her and there's nothing really I need to tell you. I was like, but it just feels like she's so strongly here. I've never felt her like that before. And she was like, oh, yeah, that's nice. Like, I love when she pops in. And she was actually just on a retreat, Danielle's retreat. And she was like, it was amazing because, everyone was psychic at the retreat. So every single person was like, oh, your mom's behind you, or oh, your mom's around you. Oh, and she's like, I got so many messages from my mom. It was so beautiful. I was like, oh, wow. And I was like, okay, well, she seems to be around because there's like an important event coming up next week. I was like, but it's not Mother's Day. I was like, it seems like an anniversary or a birthday or something important is going on. I was like, outside of Mother's Day. Like, that's not why she's here. And then she was like, oh, my birthday is actually on Mother's Day. And I was like, oh, that's why. I was like, okay, she's really close to you for your birthday. And she said a few other things, and it was just like really nice and beautiful. And she said, thank you. Like, it's just nice to hear from her. And I was like, you know what? It's right. You are right. It is nice. So then, a few moments go by. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go back to the Reiki. She says, okay. So I was up in her chest, in her solar plexus, and I was telling her, I'm in your chest and in your solar plexus. I'm like, I'm moving the energy down. She was like, oh, I have this weird pain on my right hip. And I was like, oh, I'm not on your hip. And I was like, but it could be, the energy moving down maybe. And she was like, oh, okay. She's like, yeah, it's just really weird, this pain on my right hip. And I was like, okay, let me go down and check it out. So energetically, I moved down to the right hip, and I don't feel anything. Like, I don't feel like it should be causing her pain, or like there was no energy sitting there. I was working higher up. I was still in the upper areas of her chest and right below her chest. And then I was like, I don't know, like energetically, I don't feel anything there. I was like, I'm still in your chest. And she goes, huh? She says, the only other thing I can think of is if it's spirit. And I was like, oh, she's like, I feel spirit this way. Like if it comes on randomly, and she's like, I don't think it's my hip. And then she's like, or is it your hip? And I was like, well, no, my hip doesn't hurt. She's like, oh, then it's probably spirits. I was like, oh, who could it be? She said, do you have anyone that passed from like something of the hip? And I was thinking, and every time this happens to me, I swear I forget what it's like to be a sitter. Someone gives you a piece of information and your mind just goes blank. You're like, I couldn't think of anyone. I couldn't think of anything. Like, I was Reikiing, I was channeling her mom, and now she's channeling for me. And I was like, I was like, honestly, I'm so sorry. I can't think of anyone right now. And she was like, oh, okay, that's fine. And then, a few minutes go by. She's like, I think it's your grandpa. And then she starts to describe my grandpa. And I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, it could be my grandpa. I was like, I have a really hard time getting my own people. And we were kind of talking about how, because I said, do you get your mom often? And she was like, yes, I do. And I was like, oh, I actually have a hard time getting my own people. I'm like, I get read a lot because I have a lot of medium friends and I'm around a lot of mediums. I say, so they come through, but I personally don't get them. And my grandpa was someone I was thinking who I specifically don't get very often, and he doesn't come up in readings very often. I think he's come through 2 or 3 times. A medium named Bree got him once, and I think once or twice I did channel him when my brother was here, once for my grandma, and then someone else also channeled him, but a handful of times. For the amount of readings and trades that I've done for mediumship, he doesn't come through very often. This is Taita's husband. So she started talking about him, and then she said, oh, and who's the J name? And I said, that's him, that's John. And then she was like, oh. But a few things that she said, I was like, well, both my grandpas are passed, so it could also be my other grandpa. A few of the things she was saying, sometimes, it's hard to place the information. And again, I'm working right now, so I'm not really in the mind space of it. So then she starts to say, oh, okay. A few minutes later, she goes, well, who would be Mike or Michael? And I was like, that's my other grandpa. And I know I do this all the time. So you think that I wouldn't be like, wow. But it still gets me every time. I'm still like, amazing. You got both their names. I was like, I know how hard that is. And, it's me. We've worked together for a long time, yada, yada, yada. But I was like, it is so nice just to hear from your loved ones popping in. And she kind of said that a few times. She was like, thanks for those messages from my mom. It was so nice just to hear from her. And then I got that little experience while I was trying to give Reiki to her of my grandparents coming in. And then she's like, there's also a woman there. She's like, is one of them their wife also passed? I said, yes, that would be my grandma. I only have one. Taita is my only grandparent left. And I think that's why we have such a close relationship. It's because she's my last grandparent. And I really, really know that, these relationships are important and to invest time in them. And although I knew that when my other grandparents were alive, I think when you get older, you're just like, oh, these people won't be around forever. And it is really nice being a medium. I get to hear from my grandma and grandpa a lot. So my grandma and grandpa on my dad's side, they come through all the time. All the time. So if I'm ever getting a practice reading, if I'm trading with someone, if someone's reading me for something, if anyone ever needs a practice sitter, I send pictures of them to my mentees to practice with. I use my grandma and grandpa a lot, and my grandma and grandpa always come through, and they always say the same things, and they always show up the same way, and it's always really nice. So I feel like I do hear from them a lot. It's nice. But the messages were they were on the other side, they were helping me, they were holding my hand while I made this decision of change and creating new offerings. Because if you listen to last week's episode, mediumship has been coming up a lot in my life, and I've been getting a lot of downloads from my guides. I get pretty clear information from my guides, but I don't ask for a lot because I know what they're going to say. It's like asking your mom something when you know she's going to say no. You just don't even ask because you know the answer is going to be no. That's me and my guides. I don't even bother asking them because I know what their answer is going to be. But when I need something, like, they deliver. Any program I've launched, it's been because they told me to. Any workshop I do, it's because they tell me to. Anything that I've launched and failed, they've told me it was going to fail. They've like made me feel, and I don't even want to say failed. Anything that didn't go well or I canceled or something that happened, I've always known that that was going to happen because my guides were like, don't do this or do this, not this. Even to the point, like, every single time I book a Reiki course, I just ask them what day's better. The 20th or the 27th. They tell me it sells out. When I don't listen, they don't sell out as quickly or they don't sell out. So I have a really good relationship with my guides. I listen, but I also feel like I don't ask them for a lot because, when you've been developing for a long time, you just know what they're going to say. I'm like, okay, I know what you're going to tell me. But anyways, this is all to say, I got a huge download about what they want me to do and how they want me to change my offerings and how they want me to change my schedule. Because my biggest thing with mediumship, I've said this a few times on the podcast, is that I work 6 days a week and mediumship takes a lot of energy out of me specifically. It takes a lot more energy for me to do these things. So if I were to open the floodgates, take down my boundaries, give all the spirit messages, I would have to restructure my schedule, how much I work, how much I charge for my sessions. And I just didn't want to do that whole restructure. I like what I do now. I like my schedule. It flows. It works. I don't feel burnt out. I feel like I have lots of energy because I do Reiki all the time and mentorship and teaching, things that like light me up and fill me up. And if I added in mediumship, I know I would feel more drained and I know I would have to mind my energy more and just all of the things that go with the back end. So anyways, they gave me a full download of like what to change, how to price it, how many minutes it should be, how I can adjust my schedule, how to like everything that I needed. I just wrote down on a sheet of paper, download complete. And I was like, that's pretty simple. I could simply roll that out. And then I know it's going to be successful and I know people are going to eat it up because they're going to love it, this idea and the name of it and everything. So it's interesting too, this card that we pulled this week. I was like, is this also a little bit for me? Rest and then let new things bloom. We're in winter right now. And, I'm booking into June. So even if I do add this new service, realistically, I'm not going to be doing it until July. So we'll see. I haven't decided anything yet. I'm sitting with it and seeing what's going on. But my structure of work is also changing in August when I relaunch the mentees in the middle. The waitlist for that is getting very, very long, and I want to try to accommodate as many people as possible. So right now my focus is on how I can maximize the amount of mentees I can take so I can really chip away at that wait list, because I know people need help right now in developing and teaching. That's why my focus is in development and teaching. So this is all to say, stay tuned. And this is all to loop back to mediumship is amazing. It still amazes me every day. I never get used to it. It's never something you're like, yeah, and his name was John. Yeah, and he was this age. And he had this many kids. Okay, bye. No, you're like, oh my God, I got his name and his age and how many kids he had. That's crazy. I had a client too last week, and I should do a podcast on this, but at the end of her session, she said, do you have anything to tell me? She's like, I know you do. And it was her dad. And I just got like his birthday. There was just a few pieces of information that were so weirdly specific. And I was like, still got it. Like, it's still there. But you doubt yourself, right? And it's so normal to doubt yourself. So mediumship is really coming back around. I have a lot of stories to tell for mediumships that I will share on the podcast after my vacation. But that's what I wanted to bring you today. It was a really beautiful trade. I received some messages during that Reiki session. I delivered a little bit of messages, and it was just so beautiful. At the end, we were both just like, thank you. Like, I was like, thank you. I was like, that was so nice. And like, just a beautiful energy exchange. So I asked her permission, and she said I could share the story. And it's always nice. Mediumship is beautiful and magical. And I want to say, like, sometimes I do forget the magic of it until you're in it and you're like, oh yeah, this is amazing. That is one thing that makes me very happy about this work, is that there are so many amazing mediums. I know that anyone looking for a reading is in good hands. I know that you will find someone that will connect you to your loved ones. I know that there's lots of people available. I work with so many of them. I'm developing with so many of them. I listen to so many of them on podcasts. You guys know I'm always recommending. A medium named Brie is amazing, but there's just so many mediums that I find have a great connection, and they're working on it and developing. And based on my mentee wait list, there's just a need for learning and growth and self-development. And like the courses, I know that's where I have to focus right now, but I also know that I can't ignore mediumship. So we're going to find a happy medium. That was a funny pun. I didn't mean for that to be a pun, but it was happy medium. Woo! On that note, I'm just going to wrap it up while I'm on the high note. If you haven't already, please leave this podcast a rating and a review wherever you are listening, or share this podcast with anyone. Mother's Day is coming up. This is a nice little Mother's pop-in. Remember that your loved ones are always with you, and take the signs that they send you. You don't need a medium to confirm it for you. I release new episodes every Wednesday, but next Wednesday there will not be a new episode. So in 2 weeks from now, we will be back. If you want the behind the scenes, follow me on Instagram at Medium in the Middle. It's my only Instagram. There's a lot of scammers. Never send anyone money. Everything is booked on my website. All my links are down below. I will never DM you. Beware of scammers in the spiritual community. They are rampant. I can't get the blue check mark in Canada yet, so I don't have a blue check mark. As always, if you want to book an appointment with me for in-person in Banff, Alberta, or distance, I do lots of distance work. I will leave those links down below, but my website is themediuminthemiddle.com. But until 2 weeks from now, Middlers, when I see you again in your ears, I hope you have a wonderful week. I look forward to sharing how Vegas is as an empath. Stay tuned for that episode. Bye, everybody.